What is terrifying in a terrific way, though, is Terry Taylor of 1313 Mockingbird Toys. It is great to have him. The man from Lawrence, Kansas arrives on the scene because it is Freaky, Feisty, Flinty Friday, and we thought we'd have a little bit of fun. You guys are welcome to give us a call if you've got questions about collectibles, questions about cool and groovy, what I call 1970s basement stuff. And I mean the kind of fun basements, not the kind of basements, that people like Terry and I like to watch movies about. Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? That was a great intro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, great intros are because you have great people on listening, taking the ride with you. My friend, my brother, I don't know if you've seen it yet, and I've been really recommending this to our listeners as well. Have you seen Weapons yet?
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah. We saw Together and Weapons the same week.
Oh, I did too.
And
I saw Eddington, Together, and Weapons all in like a 7 or 8 day period. Man, I am intoxicated on highbrow horror right now. I'm so happy.
I need to see Eddington. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, and by the way, the joke I make about Eddington is it's the monsters are due on Maple Street. You just remove the monsters entirely and make it just about people being bungholes in America. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It, it's
I heard the tension is really a builder, especially in like the third part of it.
Yeah, and what's really clever about it too, Terry, when you see it, I can't wait for you to see it, and a lot of our friends out there who kind of live in that world, because the world that our friends are driving trucks in right now, they deal with a lot of that world. And what's really cool about it is for the first 20 minutes, he's right. Does that make sense? For the first
Yeah.
20
Sure.
minutes of that movie, Joaquin Phoenix's character is unconditionally right,
Yep.
except it goes further and further and further. It's like basically getting sideswiped. You're right. You're in the right, and then all of a sudden you pull out a pistol and you open fire on the semi. That's
Yeah.
makes you wrong. That makes you wrong. Okay.
Wow.
What did you think of Weapons?
I loved it. I thought it was a cross between Barbarian, which makes sense because it's the same director. A movie called It Follows, which is a really cool indie movie. It came out, gosh, I don't know, eight years ago. But I felt like it was Barbarian crossed with It Follows, and then a Tarantino splash of how they narrated it.
And a
So
little bit
yeah,
of Paul Thomas Anderson too, because he said that he actually used Magnolia as an inspiration as well too, which was
I
really
can
cool.
actually see that, especially with some of the dry humor,
Yeah.
especially in the end.
Oh yeah, and by the way, have you ever in your life been? And I'm really recommending this to the people out there. And by the way, it is making gobs of money. It is breaking
Yeah, it's
all kinds
crazy.
of records, and I don't just mean by inflation. It is doing extraordinarily well because it's a water cooler movie. It's a word of mouth movie. I really
Yes.
hope our friends, many of whom, when they have time off, they have real time off. But I hope they find some place to go and see it because it might have one of the greatest WTF endings of all
Oh,
time.
yes.
All
Well,
time.
and the what you would call the, I don't know, the villain, the antagonist, whomever, Gladys that's in the film. I just absolutely adore on TikTok, which I'm not a big TikTok watcher, but my wife is. But
Mhm.
she's always like, "Oh, you need to see this. Oh, you need to see this." But man, the memes and the skits people are doing with that character are gut shakingly funny. It is Everyone is dressing up like Gladys and doing their impersonations or doing Gladys in everyday situations, and it is. I mean, most of the time I'm kind of down on the internet a little bit, but this is definitely one of those things that it's like, all right, the internet, you're pulling through today.
You know what else is really cool about the movie? Once again, something that a lot of our friends out there can relate to that I just really enjoyed was the fact that, he keeps on promising, he keeps on, I guess, doing fake outs where this movie
Yep.
is really about school shootings. This movie is about child trafficking. This movie is nope. And what I love is the reason why all those things come up, Terry, and I've had to think about it a lot. And boy, this will land with our listeners and why we do our show, why I bring you on, why we talk all the time, is the fact that it's a movie about how nobody is talking to each other. That you have
Oh, absolutely.
literally neighbors
Yeah.
who aren't talking to each other, that nobody knows anybody, that nobody has any connection, that there is no human contact in it. That, there's a scene where one character whose child has disappeared goes to another group of people whose child have disappeared, and they barely know each other. and they
Yeah,
don't.
I thought that was really crazy because he's like, I'm, John's father, and they're like, okay,
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we know who you are. So what? They
yeah,
have no connection to him, and the whole community is not connected, which is the only way that this can happen. That's the
yep,
thing is if the community actually was connected and talking and loving each other and trying to get to know each other, but they're not. And this is why it happens. Okay, I got you totally off on a sidetrack there. How's business going? What's going on with you?
Oh, well, we're just getting ready for, even though it's not till October, we're getting ready for a Halloween pop up, which we started building for in June, and that's been pretty much consuming. August is kind of a low month for us. It just, for whatever reason, every year it's
Welcome to
kind of a lull.
America.
So,
Welcome to
yeah,
America, Terry. I mean,
yeah.
that's just it.
So it's a good time for us to be building. And I mean, my wife Liz, who I always try and drag on the show, but she's radio shy. Um, she's the one building most of it, and we do this pop up. We started it last year, a pop up. We call it a bar, but it's all ages, kid friendly. Halloween pop up bar where each booth is a different, like the place we do it at, Lucia in Lawrence. They have just general booths, that are like shoulder level. You sit in, your head sticks above the booth, whatever. They let us build walls on each booth, so we zip them in to the booth, so you have a full wall in between you and the other customers. But then we build whatever movie, like we have a Friday the 13th, a Nosferatu, a Blair Witch Project booth, and then you're surrounded by every, like things pertaining to the movie. And then the front entrance, at least last year, was all Beetlejuice, and then on the weekends we had a Beetlejuice cosplayer that would come and take pictures with everybody, and he'd also like run down the street and drum up business. The guy Sean that does it for us is he's a same age as me. He's 52, but he's a theater kid, so he loves acting. And so this year we're switching it up where the front area where you would do photo booth, where you walk in and do your reservations, is all going to be Nightmare on Elm Street. So Liz and our friend Ken have been building this like 8-foot Freddy worm, if you remember from Nightmare on Elm Street, where he's the huge worm engulfing. I can't remember the male or female, but
If I remember,
I know.
what are you saying to me, Terry? Of course I remember. Of course I remember. I'll
Well,
never
my
forget.
memory isn't what it used to be, so I assume that with a lot of
No,
people.
Terry,
But yeah,
you're just making room in that vast space for more things. It's like having a storage space. Sometimes you get rid of stuff. It might have nostalgic importance to you, but there's more important stuff to go.
yeah,
Terry, I
it's
wanted to go
true.
back, and this is actually going to tie into what you're talking about, but I wanted to go
Yeah,
back here because one of the things that we have discovered in talking to you that has been invaluable is you're a small business owner. And you said something really cool that I think a lot of people, a lot of our drivers out there often think about moving from a carrier to becoming independent operators, small businessmen and women
yep,
behind the wheel of their cab. You mentioned that August is a really slow period for you. So it sounds like that you use August knowing that to
yep.
get ready for this. Let me ask you, because you said you've been thinking about this in July. Can you talk about, as a small business owner, how far ahead you plan in regards to months? I mean, I know you've fallen into a pattern here, which allows you a certain regularity, but how do you target the down times in your register ringing to then maximize it for
Oh, I mean,
taking care of business?
what? Yeah, once you've been doing a business for a certain amount of time, which our brick and mortar store has been around for almost 8 years now, so you go through, excluding weird things like a pandemic. You take a normal, like, you wait, 1 to 3 regular quote unquote business years. And for me, I analyze the data and I go through, okay, January is always a sucky month because everybody um, has spent all their money and have credit card debt and everything from having Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, bam, bam, bam. 3 holidays where everyone's traveling, buying gifts, whatever. So January, you learn like, oh, well, that's taxes aren't due till April, but since you're going to have a slow month, which every business I've ever talked to in the history of of at least retail, January into February is awful. We use it. We do our inventory. We get all our receipts ready for our accountant. We still do things that need to be done that maybe aren't things we're looking forward to, but it's a good time to do it because you're not really getting a lot of traffic walking in the front door. So you kind of learn patterns of ups and downs of sale history, and then you plan ahead accordingly. Like when we have slow months that we learn historically are slow, which January into February, usually July, August, and a lot of people think that's because we're in a college town and the college kids leave, but honestly, the college kids don't pay a lot of attention to our funky little store. I think it's mostly because people are like, hey, I can take my kids to Disney World. I can go camping. I can just take a couple weeks off and not leave the house, or whatever. So I use those months where I know I'm going to be slow to plan for things like our Halloween pop-up, we do National Autobot Day is in October, so we do a huge 50% off all Transformers sale in October. But it takes a little bit of work because I have a whole section of Transformers in our warehouse, so I have to go and sort through about which ones I have duplicates of or ones that I can afford to get rid of at 50%. And so I go through and I make the best I can to plan ahead for events I have every year. Like we're going to do the Halloween pop-up. We're going to do a Transformers sale. We're going to do a Star Wars May the 4th sale. We're going to do our Krampus event in December. And you utilize downtime to plan for the big ticket events that will make up that revenue that maybe you lost during the slow months. So we've got it down. We've got it down to kind of an art now.
Yeah, and by the way, just to kind of point out, a lot of our friends out there in trucking land can certainly relate. Listen to this, guys. Inventory and taxes are January to February, and planning the pop-ups and the displays and the special offers happens in July and August. And by the way, let me tell you something right now, because there is a carrier who was a big sponsor of ours who we are going to be onboarding sooner rather than later. We talk all the time about how he spends a good part of the last part of August and September looking at the schedules of his employees to kind of make sure that they are where they want to be at Christmas. He's already planning to make sure who he knows he's going to be able to have on the road right around holiday time. So,
Sure.
And what he does is the focus is he asks every single employee, where do you want to be at Christmas? Because as you know, there are people who celebrate Christmas a week earlier because they know they're going to be on the road, and all of that kind of stuff plays into it. And like I said, I think it's really invaluable for our listeners to understand. It also sets this up as well because now we're in August and we're planning a pop-up. And my good friend Phone Master Dre just bought me a little piece of cheese and a big cup of coffee, so I'm in a good mood. But really kind of talk about this quickly. So you're planning the pop-up. Do you guys now, having done this so much, do you have like a work schedule that or do you just know it so well you just know how to do it? Or do you have like a spreadsheet of do this, do this, do this, do that? And what does it look like? Let's get to the fun part.
So last year, since it was our first year, we went into it full official. We had a friend of ours who's an accountant do a spreadsheet. She didn't really handle the numbers per se, but she's really good at scheduling and timing out. And since we had never done the pop-up before, we had we get together for the pop-up, and we have last year we probably had about 6 meetings where because we have volunteers that come help us to get together and meet. This year we've only had 2, and we'll probably have 1 more before it opens. Just because we're spending more time building, and we kind of learned from a lot of our mistakes last year. But last year we were like, okay, we're meeting on Mondays. We have our Excel spreadsheet that we put what we got done, what is our goal for the week. And we just learned, and I'm sure it's like anyone who does construction or housing or whatever, so many things happen that you are like, squirrel. You're like, okay, I am building this Nosferatu booth right here, and and then Michael that's over there is like, hey, I can't get this Evil Dead chainsaw to mount here. So then you stop Nosferatu booth, you go help Michael all day with the Evil Dead booth that he was supposed to be doing on his own. No fault to his, just some things are just dual or triple hands on deck. So now Nosferatu booth is completely off schedule. So we learned it was really hard to have a schedule when you're constructing things, because also one thing, the way our booths are laid up, like it's walls in between each booth, so there's like artwork or masks or whatever mounted on each side, and so it's like symbiotic. One side can affect the other depending on what apparatus you're mounting. And so this year we haven't really done a breakdown of like a timing schedule. We just have specific days of the week that we do the construction of the building. And once we get there, we just say, hey, this is what our goal is for today. We want to get this X done, and we try and not deviate from that, because it seems like that's kind of what happened last year. But it's tough because we're building a lot bigger things this year. And I think we're definitely going to be a lot more under the wire. Even though we started in June, we're being a little more ambitious about the builds. So the good thing is even if we fall short on what we're building this year, we still have all the stuff we had from last year. So if we can't get all the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff done we have a good amount of other stuff to kind of fill the gaps and give us a little breathing room, so we don't have to completely stress out about filling every little hole, and we're only changing maybe 30% of what we did last year, because
That's a good
why
number.
waste all the time and energy?
That's a good number, by the way. That is actually a really good number. And by the way, that has a lot to do with radio programming as well. It has a lot to do with truck driving a small business as well, too, because you want to have a basic set of core things that you do really well and make them
Yep.
what I call the super majority of that. So, 70% of stuff is stuff that people are used to seeing. It's the old trick. If you want to have anything new in your world, you need to make sure that you wrap around it a lot of what is old, familiar, and makes people kind of rely on you to give them the stuff that they're looking for. So it's like they always have this amazing thing here, but then they've got some new stuff as well too.
Yep.
And that's so
Yep.
important in regards to patterns, and in regards to if you're hauling freight, if you're an independent operator. It's really important to have your core set of things that you do, but you should always be looking at new stuff to kind of on board. Say maybe there's some growth there. Maybe we get some more interest. Maybe we bring more new people in. Maybe there's more new money to be made. Terry Taylor, of course, is joining us of 1313 Mockingbird Toys. Somehow we've actually figured out a pattern here. We talk about cool stuff while at the same time talking about how to run a small business, which so many of our listeners do. You guys can give Terry a call at 615-292-6366. Find the connections. Find your imagination simultaneously. We'd love to hear from you. Terry, I also noticed something else too. Anytime, and maybe there is somebody named Michael, but I've noticed, when you're talking about a specific person, you use their name, but when you go to generic, you always use a serial killer's name. I don't know if you know that. A movie serial killer, slasher, you know what I'm saying? Image. I suddenly had this image, Terry, of like, a guy with a Michael Myers mask on building the platform.
You're not wrong. I think after all the years, you know me pretty well.
We're kind of getting there. Okay, so let's kind of pivot here, as Lindsay would say. Pivot! Let's pivot here and talk a little bit about what is going on at the store right now. I know it's a slow time because that's just the way the industry and that is just the way the business cycle works. But what have you got new on the shelves? What are you looking at? What are you excited about that's coming your way?
Well, one of the funnest trade-ins I got was this amazing transformer, and I wish your listeners could actually see it. But a lot of transformers, they're like, depending on their size, there's called like Voyager class, Legacy class, Titan class, and then each class, they get a little bigger. They get a little bigger, but like the biggest one is a Titan, which is like maybe 18 inches, so it's not that big. Well, this company put out a transformer called Metroplex, which is the transformer Autobot that turns into a big city, and he also turns into a tank. Well, they put one out earlier this year, which I'd never ordered because it was $1,800, but the fans call it the divorce class because it's 4 foot tall. It's 4 foot, probably 4 foot by 3.5 feet wide. And it lights up, has changeable faces, all the fingertips light up, the chest, the lights, has 1 million guns on it. It's about 80 pounds. So yeah, it's called the quote unquote divorce class, but it is one of the most impressive transformers I've ever seen in my entire life. But I had a guy trade one of the divorce class quote unquote. And he is going through a divorce, but the trade-in has nothing to do with the divorce. He just was like, you know what? But he's a very close customer of the store. So when he got it in February, he was sending me pictures of it with, he has 4 kids. He was sending it with like each kid showing the size comparison. And he was putting like BC Rich guitars on it. Like it can hold even though it's 4 foot tall, it can hold a human guitar and look normal. And so he had all these pictures, and then he messages me one day. He's like, hey, Metroplex is super fun. I just don't have anywhere to put this thing, and it's only fun if you can show it off. And he goes, I sent you a million pictures and some of my friends, and then it just kind of sits. And he said, are you interested in it for the store? And I was like, and Jimmy, like, I will sell $300 of a bunch of stuff at one time to a customer, but a lot of people don't come in here and spend $300 to $500 on just one item, and this is an $1,800 item. So I told him, well, let me do some research on what I think I could sell for in my store, because just because something sells for $1,800 on eBay does not mean I'm going to put it in my brick and mortar.
You can't move it. You can't move it. That's the thing. Is the fact of the matter that eBay means the 300 million Americans and people over in India and Europe are all taking a look at it. Whereas if you've got it in a brick and mortar, you're relying on foot traffic or somebody who's just a wonderful weirdo being like, I only buy from Terry. That kind of thing.
I generally high dollar items in my store, unless it's something that I just don't care about it selling, which there is a few things like that. I generally, Mark, you take like the average eBay price of a really expensive item, I'd knock about 25% off of what the going to try and move it. So I tell him, like, let me do some research, see what I think I could sell it for in the store. And then he just shows up the next day with it. He's just like, here you go. And I'm like, oh man, I still don't know what I can offer you for it. He's like, don't care. And he's got a very good job. Money really isn't an issue to him.
No, because he bought a divorce model transformer.
Yeah,
I mean, if money was an issue, then we know why he's getting a divorce. I mean, that's just if he's buying that kind of thing and he's got money issues, he's got other problems that we got to talk about.
Yeah,
intervention.
He's very good. His kids are priority. But he does like to spend. He does like to buy Daddy some gifts. He likes to take care of himself too. But it's been fun having this thing. It's behind the counter, obviously, but every customer that comes in has to see it. And I keep saying, like, because it's got this big metal credit card that weighs probably like a half pound, and if you wave it in front of whatever spot on the transformer, and it activates a light, and then if you hit it a couple times with it, the lights do different things, and they pulsate and they fade on and off, and it's all these bells and whistles. So I'll show it to a customer. I'm like, dude. I'm like, yep, this is going to have to be the last time I show anyone this, because I don't want to kill the batteries, because I'm doing it like 30 times a day. And then the next person comes in and is like, holy moly, that's the biggest thing I've ever seen. And they're like, too bad it doesn't transform. Oh, it transforms. I can't transform it because it's like 80 pounds and it would take up so much space. But then I'm like, well, it does all these bells and whistles. So every day I say, like, yep, this is the last time I'm showing the bells and whistles. But I think there's a guy from Chicago driving down this weekend to purchase it, is what I hope, at least. We're still working the deal out. I love it, but it's been here about 2 weeks, and I'm ready for Metroplex to go somewhere else so I can have my special order placed.
It's moving day, Metroplex. By the way, really quickly, we only got a moment here. So you told me it's Titan class, Legacy class, and before we get to divorce, what was the other one?
Oh, it's like Voyager, Legacy, Titan, Leader. I'm not doing them, honestly, in the correct order.
It doesn't matter. It all sounds like really obscure coffee orders. I'd like to get a Titan size. Can I get a Legacy size?
But a lot of it is what the official names would be called. But then the fandom has called this one Divorce Class.
I'm beginning to get an idea why, Terry, we are out of time. I want people to, can you believe that? It goes by fast. Talking about business stuff, it makes a big difference. And it's important to a lot of friends to understand that they are part of the greatest of all American capitalist traditions, and that is people carving out their own space and creating their own world and making their own business. More importantly, doing it while bringing people, a lot of kids of all ages, joys. 1313mockingbirdtoys.com. You can find them on Facebook at 1313 Mockingbird KS. That, of course, is for Lawrence, Kansas, where our friends reside. Instagram is 1313 Mockingbird KS. And Mockingbird Lane Toys. They got their own tube of you. Terry, I'm going to get on your case. You need to cut a video telling people to subscribe to our channel. You've got to do that for me. You keep on promising. Promise me on the air. That way you're on the spot. Help me out.
I do promise. I just need the concise, exact bullet point info you want me to say, and I'll get it done.
All right, I will do that. I have your email and I have your number, brother. So we'll be talking
Awesome.
soon. Tell Liz we said
right.
hello. Have fun setting up the pop-ups, okay?
All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Terry Taylor, of course, appears once a month. You always on a freaky, feisty, and really flinty and fun Friday. He is the proprietor of 1313 Mockingbird Toys.